My name is Levy Wilson. I'm 28 years old, and I'm a salesman for a major food manufacturer. Levy, you got a minute? I was startled when Camila, the section chief, spoke to me. She was a gorgeous woman, but she spoke bluntly, and it appeared that she disliked me. Whenever she called me, she always yelled at me. Yes? Was it you who arranged the business meeting with the AZ Corporation? That's right. Why is Michael in charge now? Well, speak up. I glanced at Michael when she said that to me. As soon as our eyes met, I felt a silent pressure from Michael not to say anything. It's just that I thought that Michael was more qualified for the job. It is not for you to decide. Again, she snapped at me. I sighed deeply inside. It was always like this. I was a good listener and my sales performance was rather good. But because of my timid personality, people always took credit for me. Michael snatched the contract that I negotiated with company AZ Corporation, which I had worked so hard to get. The client signed the contract because they thought your proposal was good, didn't they? Then you should be in charge until the end. Understood. Understood, Michael? Michael gazed at Camila as if surprised. When she asked for confirmation, he nodded reluctantly. Camila sighed heavily. I don't mind your good-naturedness, but I don't want it to interfere with the work. You are a working adult, so please be more solid in what you intend to do. Yes. Yes is all you could say? Forget it, I'm done with you. I went back to my desk, where I found Michael glaring at me. I couldn't help but glance down as if he was trying to suggest it was my fault. I knew I couldn't go on like this, but it had been difficult to change my natural disposition. I'd been like this since I joined the company, and not a day went by that I didn't receive a warning from Camila, and I was miserable every day. But that was 3 years ago. Camila retired 3 years ago. I heard many rumors that she was headhunted or started her own business. I remember I was relieved that the devil was finally gone. But that didn't last long. I was then the target of restructuring. I knew that the company's performance was deteriorating, but I didn't think it was bad enough for them to restructure the company. At first, I was a little worried. But I had been meeting my monthly quotas, so I was taking it easy and thinking everything would be fine. Then, I was called by the head of the personnel department and told that I would be transferred to a regional office. In effect, it was the same as being dismissed. Even I could not keep my mouth shut. When I insisted that he explain the reason, he answered in a slightly scornful way. Well, Levy, you didn't attend college. You were lucky to have joined our company in the first place. I was taken aback when he laughed at me as if it were no big deal. He continued, Besides, you haven't produced much results, have you? Even if you got contracts, you were removed from your position of authority. That's not correct. It wasn't that I was being removed, but that others were claiming credit for my work. Huh? What are you talking about? Don't make excuses for your incompetence. Anyway, this is decided. If you don't like it, you can quit. I mean, the office on a remote island where I was being relocated was nearly completely shuttered. What kind of work did they expect me to do there? He just said what he wanted to say and walked out. What recourse did I have left? In the end, a month later, I accepted voluntary resignation. From that day on, I scrambled to find a new job. However, the harshness of reality and the truthfulness of my boss's words kept coming back to haunt me day after day. All of the companies I believed were required a good college degree. I couldn't even get through the application screening process, let alone an interview. Even after all this time, I still thought it was a miracle that I was able to get a job at my old company. I even wished I had just gone to a remote island No matter how hard I looked for a job, I couldn't find the one I wanted. On my way home from the job placement office, I went to my favorite cafe. I was checking the job listings on my phone and chomping down on one of their famous bucket sandwiches. Just then, someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, and to my surprise, there stood Camila. "It's been a while. You still look as dull as ever." It's been a while." I was about to tell her that she still had a sharp tongue too, but I managed to swallow it. Then, without being invited, Camila sat across from me and began drinking the coffee she had brought with her. What can I do for you?" "Nothing. I just happened to find one of my former staff and thought we could have a cup of coffee together." "I see." I was about to ask her if we were ever friends who would have a cup of coffee together, but of course I kept quiet. After we faced each other in silence for a while, "I heard you were restructured. Is that true?" Camila asked me. I was deeply impressed. She really was a person who could say whatever she wanted to say without hesitation. I envied her. "Have you got a new job yet?" "No." "I thought so." "What do you mean, I thought so?" I couldn't help but be annoyed, and when Camila looked at me, she laughed. She took out a piece of paper from her bag and put it on the table. It was an invitation to join a company specializing in imported foods. "If you like, why don't you apply here?" "What?" I quickly picked it up and read the explanation. It says that no academic background is required. It's a company that specializes in imported foods. But since you've been working for a food manufacturer, you can make use of your experience. Don't you think so? "Oh, thank you. But why are you doing this for me?" "Well, it's just a coincidence," Camila replied casually and stood up. I watched her back as she walked out of the store, dumbfounded. What did she mean by just a coincidence? Was she referring to our encounter? Or the fact that she knew I had been restructured? Or that she had a company brochure of a company that didn't require an academic background? I pondered it, but I was unable to come up with an answer. I assumed this was the opportunity God gave me. I pulled out my phone and quickly dialed the company's number. After successfully completing the application screening, the day of the interview finally arrived. When I arrived at the office, I was surprised to see more applicants than I had imagined. Wow, it looks like the competitive rate is high. I gulped hard and sat down on the chair. The time until my name was called seemed tremendously long. The people who were called first and headed for the interview seemed to be all competent. I'm starting to lose confidence. Cold sweat beaded on my palms. Just when I encouraged myself that I'd be fine, my name was called. I answered and walked into the room where the interviewer was waiting. There were 2 interviewers in a conference room-like room. One was in his 50s, the other in his 30s. The man in the 30s told me to take a seat in a gentle voice. I replied and quietly sat down in my chair. Our CEO was scheduled to conduct the interview today, but due to urgent business, I and the human resources manager will take her place. I'm Sebastian, the sales department manager, and this is Jack, the HR department manager. Thank you for coming down. I appreciate your time. Then please start by introducing yourself. I said my name as clearly as I could. I was answering some common questions about my work history, experience, and motivation. But then, wait a minute! Jack shouted in a crazy voice. Is everything all right? Sebastian asked me. Oh, excuse me. But he turned his scornful gaze on me. I was surprised when I saw your resume. You didn't attend college, did you, Levy? Oh, no. Is there any specific reason? No, not really. There wasn't any particular subject I wanted to study, so I left high school and got a job. Huh? How did you manage to join Sunny Foods with that? Was it a nepotism or something? Sunny Foods is the name of my former company. I was a little angry at the word nepotism, but I shook my head and didn't let it show on my face. No, I took the employment exam and joined the company like everyone else. Well, what a surprise. Jack gave an exaggerated frown and laughed sarcastically. Isn't it unusual to have someone who does not attend college nowadays? I mean, how did you even think of joining us? Excuse me? Our company is still small in scale, but we are the hottest company in the industry right now. Did you see how many applicants we have? Of course, all of them are college graduates. I see. To be clear, this is not the type of company that recruits folks from the bottom of the pyramid who have never attended college. Jack. Sebastian called out to him, as if he couldn't take it anymore. Our company doesn't require any academic background. That's because you young people are so naive. Our CEO has an odd sense of fairness, and she has a ridiculous policy in which our company does not require any academic background. You know what? America is an academic society. That's an obvious fact. Sebastian stared at Jack, who had raised his voice as if he was upset. I could feel my strength draining away. In the end, it was the same everywhere. Education, education, education. People who didn't have a college degree were treated like trash. Then just write on the job application that you need to have a college degree or above. In addition to emptiness, I felt angry. I was about to get up when I realized that there was no point in continuing the interview. At that time, the door opened and I heard the clicking of high heels. Sebastian rushed to his feet. Miss CEO, he said so. When I turned around to my horror, there she was, Camila. While we were stunned, Camila stopped next to Jack. Get out of here, she demanded in a chilly tone. Jack's face turned pale in an instant. I heard you outside, but you were being very rude. Oh no, I was just making a general statement. How many times do I have to tell you that our company does not require any academic background? You're not very bright, are you, Jack? I let out a surprise inside me. She really didn't have any mercy for anyone. Jack's face turned bright red this time. But it's my fault for having such a person as personal manager. I apologize for that. Camila suddenly apologized to me and sat down in an empty chair. Please get out now. I'll take the interview from here. Camila snapped at Jack, just as she used to do with us. Jack stood up, making a noise, and dashed out of the room. Silence reigned. I was at a loss, not knowing where to begin, when Camila smiled at me. I am Camila, the CEO of the company. I apologize for the very rude remarks made by a member of our company. Oh, it's okay. Are you surprised? She asked me casually, and I nodded. Camila laughed like a child who had pulled off a successful joke. I left Sunny Foods to start my own business. It's only recently that I've been able to get off the ground. I see. I see you still reply curtly. I'm sorry. Well, forget it. Let's continue the interview. I don't remember much after that. I answered the questions honestly, but I was so nervous and panicked that my mind was half blank. Then I finished the interview and left the room. I decided to wait outside the office for Camila while I watched the next person go into the room. 3 hours passed, and then there were no more people coming out of the office. It seemed the interview was finally over. I got on the elevator again and got off at the 3rd floor where the interview room was located. As luck would have it, Camila was standing there. "Excuse me, can I talk to you for a minute?" I gathered up my courage and she nodded. "Why did you call out to me?" "Of course, it's because I evaluate you highly." She snapped at me again, but I was rather pleased by her comment. "I have always appreciated you since I was at Sunny Foods. You're a humble but reliable worker, and you're a good listener, so you've always had a good reputation with clients," Camila continued. She stated I probably didn't realize how she saw me, and I nodded. "I think it's fine to be good-natured, but it's a problem when someone takes all the credit for your work and you don't say a word. That's why I'd always been so hard on you." When I admitted that was probably why she despised me, Camila grinned as if she was troubled. I was surprised to hear that it was no coincidence that we met at the cafe. Camila found out that I had been fired from Sunny Foods. She wondered whether she could get me to work at her company. That's why she showed up at the cafe, my favorite place. "I'll call you later with the results of the interview. But if you do get the job, you're going to have to work a little harder, okay?" She patted me on the shoulder, telling me to have more faith in myself, and I almost burst into tears. I had never dreamed that there was someone looking out for me like this. I remembered Camila's remarks from her time as a tough section head, and I understood she was saying everything for me. I clenched my hands, wondering how I had missed that. After that, I won the job with flying colors. Camila was as relentless as ever. She still snaps at me almost every day, but it doesn't bother me anymore. As I go about my work, I take everything she says seriously. The company is full of young people and full of vitality. Will I be able to repay her someday? Will I be able to grow into a man capable of handling such a large responsibility? I pledge to become such a man, and I'm working hard every day.